Hello friends, so let's discuss the next essay topic. A ship in harbor is safe, but that is not what ship is for. Very similar topics I have asked in my test series, almost same. And I will come to that in a while. But before that, let me just explain you what this topic here means. A ship in harbor is safe, but that is not what ship is for. So what this topic means here is, let us see here. Yes. So a ship in harbor is safe, but that is not what ship is for. So basically, this essay topic means is that you need to come out of your comfort zone. You need to come out of your comfort zone. That is the central point of this essay. You need to take a risk, and we need to increase our appetite for risk. Need to take risk. That is the kind of things which you can discuss in this essay. We need to take risk and be not afraid of failure. This is the central point of this essay. Be not afraid of failure. So, for example, ship here is a metaphor. That is a person or a society or a nation or anything. They are in their safe zone, in their comfort level. So that is the place they may be safe. But that if they stay always in that zone, then they will never be able to grow out. This happens at an individual level also. At an individual, for example, we can say things like this, that if an individual, he is always when a child is born, basically a child is there in the cradle. But if a child always stays there in the cradle, will he ever be able to grow? No. The cradle will in fact become a grave if a child, if a baby does not step out of it at the appropriate time, even though it may be the safest place for him. Even if the baby falls, let him fall. If he hurts himself, let him hurt himself. But for the growth of the baby, it is extremely important that he grows. Now, you can talk from individual to different levels. You can talk up to the nation level. Okay, you can talk up to the nation's level. You can, for example, say that, see, at a national level, we have certain issues from which we are shying away. Don't want to go into the past. Let's talk about 21st century. We are aspiring to be a superpower. We want a permanent seat in United Nations, but we often feel shy of intervening in international relations. Some conflicts we feel shy of. Is it okay? Now, you can question this thing. Is it okay to shy and uh, and not intervene in these conflicts? For example, when there are some proposals or resolutions moved in United Nations, we generally stay absent. Is it okay? So all these powers of ours, the the monetary clout, the military clout, the political clout, the soft diplomacy clout, whatever we collectively think of, what for these things are we, should we just keep them safe in the museum, or should we ever implement them? These are the kind of questions which you can raise. Now, some more things, for example, you can take here is that you can talk at the, you can give examples of society also, countless examples you can give. You can give examples of how Gandhi, he became, these are historic examples, how Gandhi became Mahatma because he took the risk. He left the job, right? He left his advocacy, or he was an advocate, so he did not remain an advocate, he left it. And similarly, there are many sages. Who are sages? Sages are basically individuals. When they leave their homes, when they grow up and they become vagabonds, so they take risk. They leave their safe homes. Mahavir, Buddha, they left their homes, and in due course of time, they became such great men that they established certain religious doctrines which gave birth to new religions, new doctrines. They showed path to humanity. So all these instances are of those great men who we can think of, who did not stay at their homes. Now, some We can talk about sciences, we can talk about commerce, and in contemporary times, we can also talk about some places where we see this herd mentality. In fact, see, who does not comes out of his house ever? Who stays safe to the house? That is a sheep. Sheep does not wander. Sheep does not go out. And that has resulted in something called herd mentality. But we don't want to be like sheeps. Do we want to be like sheeps? So as I was telling you, you can take up certain issues here. For example, startups versus jobs. Why people prefer jobs, especially government jobs or safe jobs, or should they go for startups, or what should they do? If we only keep hunting for jobs, then who will provide new payrolls for new people, new children? Okay, so apart from that, there can be some more issues. And but before that, I come, then there is one more thing here that, see, in our country, where we see that people resist from leaving harbor, there are certain places where people resist from harbors. Where are they? For example, in academics, we see quite often people do not take non-conventional subjects. They take subjects like sciences. Children, they are forced to take subjects in schools like medicine, engineering, sciences, not arts and humanities. Similarly, in job front, we were talking about people, they go for jobs. They usually are not concerned about getting jobs. Even in software or IT industry, let's talk about IT and software industry. IT and software industry is one such place where our country has done the best. It's really considered as a role model. But even within that IT software, we are usually a service-based industry, right? We are service-based industry. We have set up companies like Infosys, TCS, and these are really great companies world over. They generate a lot of revenue. But why we could not set up companies like Facebook or Apple? And see, these Facebook and Apple are so rich, they earn even more revenues than Tata's. So you can't just ignore the wealth these companies are generating and the contribution they are making to their GDP. But we couldn't do that because we are still bound to service-based or some safe kind of habits. We do not want to take risks. Even in our movies, our songwriters, in the previous essay we had on this poets are unrecognized legislators of the world. Are poets really that much? Do they have that faith in themselves, or they are copying the trends? Our musicians, are artists, they are copying the trends in the West. Our cinema makers, they are not really keen on coming up with new kind of cinemas. They already have a fixed formula, and they keep on churning it again and again and again and again. So now people are rebelling against it, and so on. So these are some of the issues which you can talk about. But and see, one more thing, these days marriage is one such thing where you can talk about. People want to be, youngsters especially, youngsters want to be safe in their homes, or rather I would say safe in the status quo. They do not want to marry. They don't want to marry, and they don't want to have kids. That's a trend which is increasing. You might have heard of certain instances of solo marriages. Those solo marriages instances are less, but at least marriages are being delayed a lot because of this kind of inertia. People feel if you will marry, that may turn into divorce, or maybe I will not be able to enter and I will be able to set up a good home. So because of this fear, see how much this fear is causing, what kind of anxieties, what kind of these things it is causing. So on many such lines, basically, you can write this essay. However, I want to take somewhere counter arguments also, and these are very important to take some counter arguments. What are the counter arguments we can take up? We can say that, okay, it's important to take a risk, right? Yes, it's important to take a risk, but risk for what? So we were talking about ships. So ships are not supposed to be in their harbor. They must go on. It means they should explore the world. It means they should go in the unsafe zone where there can be storms, where there can be anything. But if that's the condition, and they should take up the role for which they are assigned. So in the same metaphorical language, I will say that risk for what? What should be worthy thing? What should not be? Who's going to tell us? Should we have those ships like those of the British colonialists who came and conquered the world, subjugated the world, enslaved the world? They were very risk-taking. Indians at that point of time, they wanted to stay at their home. They did not. They believed in that crossing the sea will pollute their caste or creed. Britishers were very entrepreneurial. They had great navy. They wanted to go to uncharted territories. But what that resulted in? That resulted in colonialism. So some amount of ethics also needs to be there. This thing is very important. And other thing is that there are certain gray areas that we do not really know that should we take this risk or not? Is it worthy or not? For example, talk about your money and resources. Is it okay to keep them in banks and fixed deposits, or is it okay to, or should we invest them in funds or mutual funds, or not even mutual funds, but rather share market? What should we do with that? This is a certain gray zone. Some people will say take risk, invest in share market. Some will say no, fixed deposits are good, share market is bad. See, gambling is definitely bad, but the point here is you cannot justify gambling by saying that yaar risk लेना चाहिए, ये जो तेरा पैसा रखा है, why are you not using it? That is not a reason on the basis of which you can justify gambling. That's definitely a big no. But things like share market or the difference between share market and FD, fixed deposit, should we invest it or not? It's a gray zone. So these kind of ethical questions also you can basically touch in your essays. And similarly, some ships are not supposed to be in the safe zone. So if you remove the ethics part of it, then tomorrow men, women will say that why should we be in the marriage? We were talking about marriages now, then they will say, why should we be in the marriage? Why should not we go out and explore extramarital relationships? Up to adultery is also not criminalized. So if you remove the ethics, then this becomes a very dangerous thing. So you have to be very ethical in there. So we have our INS Vikrant, that gigantic big aircraft carrier which we recently came up with. So should it be just kept safe, or should we load some weapons onto it? Okay. And should we actually put that into service? Should we go to the some small islands and terrorize them? Definitely not. ये तो नहीं है कि उसको लेकर गए श्रीलंका या मालदीव्स या other friendly countries of ours, or even non-friendly countries. Should we start exploring them? Then what will be the difference between us and say Pakistan? Pakistan, what it keeps saying that हमारा जो atom bomb है वो हमने घर में रखने के लिए नहीं बनाया. So they always keep threatening us with their atom bomb that we will put into action that atom bomb. So that thing is also very destructive. So the idea which I want to put forward in your mind is that when you're talking about risk-taking abilities and your desire or your ability to take risk or pursue new journeys, then you must do that for some ethical gains. And it should not be reckless, thoughtless, or done to just gratify your own senses or to pamper your own greed or ego or to terrorize others and so on. So on these lines, we can conclude somewhere. Okay, conclusion can be made on either of these lines. One of these lines can be that we should be ethical with respect to where we chart out and for what purpose we put into practice our risk-taking abilities. We should be very ethical about it. Next, on these things lines you should take. Next, one more way to conclude can be that in the present world, we have lots of challenges. So many challenges are there in front of our country. Like we still have poverty, we still have unemployment, we still have on health denominators we are suffering. We have malaria and diseases like these are there. So when so many problems are there in front of our country, who will solve them? It is we who will solve them. And for us to solve them, it is important that we come forward and we leave the safe homes. So the babies must come out of their cradles. They must step into the new world and take up the risk so that we can come up with something great. Okay. Fail ho gaye agar, to there is nothing bad even if there is failure. There is a famous lines, गिरते ही शहसवार ही मैदान जंग में वो क्या खाक गिरेंगे जो घुटनों के बल चलते हैं, वो त्रिशूल क्या गिरेंगे जो घुटनों के बल चलते हैं. It basically means like that only the brave hearts um, will die, will fall in the battlefield. Those who already have surrendered and are kneeling down or walk or crawling on their knees, they won't fall. So, even if you fail, there is glory. It's glorious even to fail. There was in Kargil War. It was Manoj Pandey who used to say that some goals are so worthy, it's glorious even to fail. I remember his line. He said that I read about it somewhere. So some goals are so worthy, it's glorious even to fail. So on these lines, friend, this essay could have been written. And a similar essay on somewhere towards the end, you could have concluded this essay by saying that there is also a quotation which says a very similar thought, that not all those who wander are lost. Are lost. Not all those who wander are lost. This is the line on which you could have ended this essay. Okay. So now, in fact, I want I want to draw your attention to the point which I was talking about, that how I had asked this topic. The essay which I had asked was on this topic, not all those who wander are lost. And there you will find that a lot can be said on the here from here. Let us see. 1 second. Let us see here. I will just share with you the script of these lines. So this is the essay that I had already written. And in this essay, which is a part of test series also, it was a part of 9 test program, actually, not 6 test 1. In the last, you can see this line: ships are safest in the harbor, but it is not the place where they're meant to be. So this was the line. And and the beginning of this essay was, not all those who wander are lost. Basically, this essay is just like this essay. You just turn it upside down, you will get to there. So, okay, let's come to some of the pages. For example, I can show you, which you could have used here. Today, the challenges faced by the country are equally daunting. Freedom has been won, but not from poverty, hunger, equality, insurgency, and backwardness. The least we can do is to prepare ourselves to take risks and venture beyond the custody of safe havens. For example, school children in middle class families are pressed to take safer subjects like sciences and engineering, and discouraged from taking creative and risky subjects. This kill the potential of children as they curb their nascent God gifts and talents. You see, these lines will exactly feel they are being written for this topic. The topic right in front of us. A ship in harbor is safe, but that is not what ship is for. Okay. In those who take professional courses like engineering, there is a tendency to restrict themselves in search of government or private jobs. If everyone will rush to be on the payrolls of others, then who will create new payrolls? In other words, we need to foster an entrepreneurship spirit and skills amongst our youth so that new jobs can be created. India has the world's largest information engineering manpower, but still companies like Google, Facebook, which are richer than Tata's and Ambani, didn't originate in India. This is because at a societal level, we fail to stand behind those who fail. We ridicule them and only pamper those who follow the charted paths. We must create space for people to take risks. That is the central point here. We must create space for people to take risks to whichever professions they might belong to. There might be movie makers, songwriters, scientists, sports persons, teachers, fashion designers, carpenters, shoemakers, and so on. We must encourage people to take new paths, and unless we do that, we would continue to be a bad performer in Olympics medal tally, Oscar awards, QS ranking of world universities, and so on. So whether it's sports, whether it's movies, whether it's academics, unless we come out of our safe harbors, unless we start taking risks, unless we start innovating, we will not come to the top. So now we proceed further. Trying to be safe might make us world's biggest market, but we will not be able to capture any market by becoming manufacturers of products and brands like Nike, Apple, Microsoft, etc. So we should not be contented with this idea that we are one of the biggest GDPs. No, we should be innovative also. At this point, a word of caution also is necessary. As much as wandering is crucial for progress, so is discipline and unity. Our zeal for newness must not become a ground for chaos and anarchy, especially when the effects are to be borne by the entire society. Human society grew not only because early man wandered, but also because it must have stayed united when surrounded by animals or bad weather. That is because the feeling of community and social cohesion passed from generation to generation. Simultaneously, societal norms and demands for conformity should not become a tool to annihilate an individual and her innovation. Towards the end, we can say, see this end. This is a line which you can use for this essay as it is. Towards the end, we can say that every morning sun rises with a new set of challenges for humanity. Life is uncertain and nobody knows what happens tomorrow. It is vital that while we stay united, we must also pamper and encourage. See, the word united here is because that in this topic, there was this word wandering. So if you remove the word wandering, you will remove the word united and rest will remain the same. We must also pamper and encourage amongst us those who want to wander, that is, those who want to go beyond. In fact, each one of us at some point of time in life has had a desire to take new paths and unknown voyages. Fear of failure may try to stop us, but we should not. And remember the famous lines of a philosopher. So this is the line: ships are safest in a harbor, but that is not the place they are meant to be. So as I said in this essay, this line was used to conclude. If you change the order from reverse to ending, you will exactly get the same essay. So most of the content is same, which I've already explained you. Okay, you can talk about that how potential of children is being killed, and we curb their God gifts and talents, and in professional courses like engineering, we are pushing government, private jobs, debates, and so on. Okay, so and the same idea, Dadabhai Naroji, Gandhi, revolutionaries, they are all being discussed here. Okay, so with this, I think we can end here. Sheep's herd mentality, all these things is there. So friends, there was one more essay, in fact, which had very much similar lines. Now time is running out, we won't discuss it there. But the point is, I'm so excited today to see so many essays which are exactly almost 90% same to the questions that I had asked in my test series. They are, I would say, 90%, 95%, maybe more. The topics, this topic and the topic on, say, um, topic on poets are unacknowledged legislatures, and that scientific man versus romantic man, that's a discussed on the YouTube channel, and uh, other topics like even the last topic. Just because you have a choice, it does not mean any one of them has to be right. That these all topics were discussed by me in some way or the other. So I hope that would have helped the students who had subscribed it, and I hope this video will help you also in some ways or the other. And stay connected, and thank you for watching.